The superpower that every citizen has is the ability to control where they spend their time, money, and attention. By focusing these on supporting local businesses, you are having a profound impact on your friends, your family, and your local community. So if you want to change the world, you can start with buying local.
My name is Kara Koenig. I work for Thoroughbred Advisors and I do financial planning. Probably the most important thing that we do is to talk to our clients about their goals and educate them on habits, tools, and strategies that we can provide for them so that they can make educated decisions about their financial future. I think there's so much stress about finances that people, it really weighs on them. So when they feel like they've made a good decision and made a step forward in doing something for themselves, it just gives them a sense of fulfillment and they're happy about that. And that makes me happy. You know, I want to help them achieve their goals. So if I can even get them one step further to achieve their goals, then I've done my job. Let me help you achieve financial independence and plan for your future.
Joe, can you say your last name for me? Because I'm going to butcher it, man.
That's all right. You won't be the first, or definitely won't be the last. It's Zakriski.
Zakriski.
Yes.
All right. So, and you're at Atlas Jiu Jitsu, South Glens Falls.
Correct.
And I think one of the biggest questions I had rolling in here was, how do I get a nickname as cool as Josferatu? like, is there a story behind that? How did that come about?
Back when I was a blue belt,
yeah,
right, talking about blue belt times. Back when I was a blue belt, I used to, I was always kind of messing around with how I looked and different stuff like that. I used to shave my head completely bald.
Okay.
I used to shave my head completely bald, and if you got a good look before I put the headphones on,
yeah,
I got some big ears. I got some big goofy ears, and I got a big old hooked nose that's been broken a few times. My game back in the day was close guard and using it to get to the back.
Okay.
Used to get to the back. So now I'm this bald dude with giant, weird-looking ears and a crooked nose, getting on people's back and keeping my chin right down. And I had a fang mouth guard because I was like, it looks kind of cool and stuff like that. So my professor, Ed, was like, hey, you know what? You kind of look like Nosferatu. And one of my teammates at the time was like, big with wordplay because that's just a great quality to have. He was like, Josferatu. We all had a good laugh, and all of a sudden, like, the room got quiet. It was just like, that's it.
Yeah, that's
that's your call sign.
That's like one of the coolest nicknames ever. Yeah,
thank you.
I thought it was great. I was like, man, I got to hear about this, Josferatu.
Apparently, all I need to do is shave your head and have giant ears and a weird looking nose, and then you'll have a great nickname. That's
funny. So how long? Let's see. How long's Atlas been in South Glens Falls now?
Atlas has been in South Glens Falls since September 2016.
2016? Has it really been that long?
I know. It's nuts to think about, yeah.
Time's weird these days, right?
It really is. It really is.
Apologize, listeners. We've got like this big, crazy piece of machinery cutting down trees on the railroad track behind us, so it's like bleeding through more than usual. But all right, so 2016, and What are you from Glens Falls? Is that how you ended up?
I grew up in the Scotia Glenville, like Schenectady, Niskayuna area.
Okay.
So I grew up technically, I guess, like on the border, almost like of Scotia Glenville, Burnt Hills, and Niskayuna. I went to Niskayuna School District, graduated from there in 2007.
So why South Glens Falls?
I was a purple belt. Professor Ed, he was like, hey, we're looking to open up an academy up north. Do you want to run it? And I said, yeah, absolutely. So I would travel back and forth between my job. At the time I was working special education in Niskayuna. I was a teacher's aide. And I would travel an hour north, run classes. I'd travel an hour back. Sometimes I'd be getting home like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And then the next morning I'd be up 5:45, 6 o'clock in the morning, make it to my job, hour up, hour back. So that was taking a toll on me.
Yeah.
It was taking a toll on me, but I loved every second of it just because I was finally, able to do what I'd set out to do since the first jiu-jitsu class I ever took.
Yep.
And that was run an academy and run classes and teach people something that I'm absolutely more passionate about than anything in the entire world. And then I met my now wife, right? She actually came in to the academy. She was going to start doing night shifts at Glens Falls Hospital.
Okay.
And I believe the promotion we were running at the time, we were doing a free month for Domestic Violence Awareness and Prevention Month.
Cool.
And she saw that we were offering free classes. She came in. We kept it as professional as we could for about 3 weeks, and then it was like, yeah, we like each other. So we started dating. Cool. Obviously, everything worked out. We've been married since 2000.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah, thank God. But we've been married since 2019. But she saw the toll that, driving back and forth was taking on me. Like, I was exhausted. I was absolutely exhausted. And she was just like, why don't you just move up here and do this full time?
Yeah.
You're so much happier when you're doing jiu-jitsu. And, not that I didn't like helping in a special education classroom, because it was just so inspiring to see these kids, overcome some of the struggles that, they didn't have a choice in having. And, watching them succeed, it was a very rewarding job. But I mean, at the same time, it was so draining to be up at 5:45 to do that, drive an hour north and like be on the road. Like, I'd have 16 to 18-hour days on a regular basis.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And again, my wife saw that, and she was just like, why don't you just move up here?
Well, yeah, because the jiu-jitsu Atlas for you was just a side hustle, right? It's not like at that point.
Like at that point, it was a side hustle until I could make it.
Yeah. Like
a full-time thing. And like, my wife kind of gave me that nudge. She was just like, you're so much happier doing this. Mm-hmm. Why don't you make this your full-time thing? And like, I was afraid to. I was afraid to, because it was like, oh, we really just opened up. Like, it hadn't even been like a year maybe. Right. And then I finally was just like, you know what? I got to bite the bullet. I got to do this because she's right. Right. Because I'm like, I didn't want to be miserable. But I was just so tired that I couldn't even control like my frame of mind at certain points of the day. And it was just like, this isn't healthy. This isn't good. So she was just like, make this your full-time thing. So I literally moved up to South Glens Falls. I quit my job in special education in Niskayuna. Yeah. I started doing morning and evening classes until I could get myself set up with the substitute teaching BOCES system up north. Yeah. And then I started doing substitute teaching for physical education, health education, and honestly, any kind of position that would have me in. Because it's like, I still want to get involved in schools. I still want to work with kids, but I still want to do jiu-jitsu. Plus, the drive is not an hour south, right? Hour north, right? It's 10 minutes.
2 hours a day you can spend making money instead of sitting in your car, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's kind of how all that came to fruition. I started doing that a little bit more full time.
Yeah. And so now the school's been running for 8 years, man. So I mean, I know a few guys that go there, speak highly of it. I've never heard anything but great stuff about Atlas Jiu Jitsu.
That's always nice. That's always nice to know.
Yep. Because I started, I think it was either 2014 or 2015 at North Point when Sam Romanza was still in town. Right, yeah. Yeah, and that was before you guys moved in, because I remember it was like all at the same time, like they moved that to the Dome. Yes. And then you guys opened up in South Glens Falls. Secor opened up in the old North Point location. The old North Point spot, it was the weirdest thing. Yeah. Like, and then a few, like at some point they closed down. I fell out for a couple of years, and at some point they closed down the Dome.
It's when it was during, I don't know if it was during COVID. I think it was during COVID. We had a huge snowstorm and ice storm, and it collapsed the Dome.
Oh, so did it really?
Yeah, so they literally had to close the Dome. So,
I didn't know that happened.
Yeah, no, they had to close the Dome for everything.
Wow. Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. I mean, they eventually opened back up, but when we were allowed to train again,
Yeah.
And then they didn't have a place to train. It was kind of just like, all right, we're just going to shut down the spot.
How was that? Like, did you have to comply with all that bullshit through COVID? I say bullshit. I shouldn't say that. It was those weird times. We are martial artists, discipline, respect, honor. We've never sworn in our entire lives. So my big thing with this is with my wife being an ICU nurse. Yeah. If you ever see a nurse get afraid of something, you should take it seriously. That's a good time to be afraid of it, yeah.
Nurses are on the front line for everything. Nurses don't get enough credit for what they do.
Agree.
Right? They're there. They are bedside. They are doing all the stuff. And it's like, yes, doctors are obviously great at their job, but like doctors are not always there all the time. Nurses are there all the time. Like when I first started dating my wife, I'd get some sort of injury and she'd be, oh, let me look at it. And it's like, now it's like, unless I'm actually actively bleeding or dying, love my wife to death. She's like, I don't care. I don't care. Are you dying?
You'll be fine.
I mean, no. She's like, well, get over it then. I don't care. But during that time, it was kind of just like even my professor asked me, he was just like, do you think we really should shut down and stuff like that? It's like, look, this is what my wife is saying. The last thing we want to do is be a burden to our students and the academy and stuff like that. So it's like, so we ended up complying with that for a little while, right? And how we did that through Zoom classes. Professor Ed, he would make these Zoom classes on a daily basis, and I would run classes also. I'd run like fundamental warm-ups and movement drills. Like I was teaching people like inversion drills and all this stuff. And, you know, it was cool. And we did strength and conditioning classes that we could, and it was just so cool how we did it. Just to modify, because it's like when you don't get that social interaction that you're super, super used to, and when you have a family like we have at Atlas, it's like, and all of a sudden it's just like, nope, you're going to stay in your home, and you know, you may not have a wife, you may not have kids, you may not have a pet to interact with, and all of a sudden you're just in your own little space alone by yourself. Like that's bad. Like a lot of people battled with depression during that time.
Oh, it's a tough time for everybody, for sure.
Very tough time for everybody. So the fact that we were able to have such success with the Zoom classes, you know, is like, that was great for people's mental health as well. It was not just because like some classes we literally do a technique for like 10 minutes and then just kind of like check in on each other like for the next 50 minutes of an hour class. Like, hey, how are you guys doing? Like, what's going on here? You know, and
I know we were trying to roll, or not trying. We were rolling with masks on for a bit, man. It was the freaking.
When we started opening back up again, like we tried doing that a little bit, and then everybody was just like, I'm waterboarding myself.
Oh my god!
Because of the sweat.
Oh, it was like awful.
It's like we could breathe perfectly fine, but the second that the sweat started soaking the masks, we were just like, we're trying.
Oh my
trying
god,
so hard.
They like fall off your face. You know, you're like, you know, so someone's choking you out on your mask. Now you just have to like stop. It's like, you know, reset the mask, start back up, or like you.
It was a.
Or like it was like, you know, like running with an altitude mask on, right?
Yeah.
Like where you're just like trying to breathe, man. I'm like, holy shit, I can't breathe right now. It's like, it's crazy. But so do you guys? I feel like what I saw with the health and fitness, we're just going to put jiu-jitsu in that industry, or that genre of industry, I guess. You know, a lot of what we saw was like just a huge resurgence. So did you like come out of COVID and just come back bigger, better than where you went in? We did.
Like, it was the weirdest thing. Like the second that people were allowed to train again, we literally doubled our numbers. Yeah. We literally doubled our clientele. I mean, obviously a big help with that was the fact that, and this is like the most fortunate thing to happen in the community, was when the dome collapsed. Because when the dome collapsed, all of a sudden people who were in like the Lake George and the Glens Falls area who would train jiu-jitsu there, they didn't want to travel down to Saratoga. Right. And it's like, it's super unfortunate for them, because, you know, that was their home. That's where they trained on a regular basis. But like, they made their way to me, and they made their way to Matt's Academy. So it was like, they got a different look at jiu-jitsu. They got, you know, a new experience. And it was like, it's obviously great for our businesses. But again, I felt so bad for, you know, Alliance, because it's like, they're great people. They're businessmen. They're, you know, trying to put food on their table, and the same exact thing. And to have something like that happen, that's rough. Yeah. That's rough.
Yeah, it's definitely. You always hate to like do well because of someone else, but at the same time, it's kind of. I mean, that's, you know, it's business.
It's a very bittersweet feeling.
Yeah, for sure. So tell me about like the academy now, right? So you guys are doing tournaments. You got, you know, Absolutely. I see a ton of stuff on social media. I think recently, you did like, was it like an anti-bullying campaign or something that you guys were involved in?
So we had we had one of my students now who's actually competing at Grappling Industries, and then I believe Naga as well in the next like 3 weeks.
Those are coming up. Yeah.
Oh yeah. His name is Aiden Padone. He's a huge fan of Spider-Man, and that whole thing, which happened, I believe it's coming up on like 2 years ago this July.
Oh, no
a couple
kidding.
Months.
Time's weird,
dude, it is. It's weird. It's weird to think in like, when you start getting a little bit older, it's like recent times, and like a month ago, it's like, oh yeah, 2 years ago in recent times. Yeah, it was last July. My student Aiden, he literally came in like a week or two before he was assaulted at Derby Park, right? And I put it out there because I grew up. I was bullied. I liked comic books. I liked musical theater, and I liked professional wrestling. And it's like I got bullied and I got picked on for it just because I liked things that some people didn't like, and it was super super weird. But that's whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
And I don't know. But I kind of put out this call there, and like I expected to get like a couple $100, maybe get him like a rash guard and a gi and something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like the next day I woke up and it was like, dude, your post went viral. I was like, what do you mean it went viral? Like it got like 1,000 views? It was like, no, like we're up to like we're like 10,000 views, and then to like 20,000 views. All of a sudden, we're like, oh yeah, dude, it was crazy. It was crazy. But like the entire country, the entire world started like circling around this one event, and I was just like, I just wanted to get this kid like a rash guard and a gi to show him like, hey, we're here to support you, and jiu-jitsu can help you. Da, 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 da. I was on the phone with people from Germany, Australia, Brazil, California, Mexico, England, like professional athletes and cosplayers, and they're all just reaching out like, hey, what can we do to support Aiden? All these different things. And it was super cool. And it was literally just because I was like, let's just show this kid that, he's not alone. And that's the biggest thing. And all of that came from literally just a single post where I was just like, hey, let's wear superhero rash guards and take pictures in the jiu-jitsu community wearing superhero rash guards because it's fun and we still get to train. And
yeah.
And it was literally just something as simple as that. And it literally turned this kid's life around.
That's amazing. Let's kind of go down that rabbit hole a little bit. Like, from a kid's standpoint.
Yeah.
And jiu-jitsu. Like, why should kids do jiu-jitsu? Like, if you're talking to a parents, like, like I've got a couple kids and I'm thinking about putting them in martial arts. Why should they choose jiu-jitsu over like another discipline?
In my opinion, jiu-jitsu, and this is going to almost sound exactly like Jocko Willink. Jiu-jitsu, in my opinion, is like one of the best activities that you could get involved in no matter what age you are.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to look at it from different perspectives. Like I went to school for physical education,
mm-hmm.
right? So I'll look at a 4-year-old to a 6-year-old and say jiu-jitsu is great for them because it'll teach them balance. It'll teach them coordination. It'll teach them a little bit of self-control of their body. And then, as we start getting older, right, when kids start kind of understanding a few more things in life, it's like, hey, some kids aren't going to be so nice to you. This will be a good anti-bullying thing. You'll learn self-confidence. You'll learn some discipline, right? All of a sudden, you start getting a little bit older. It's no longer like the 4 to 6-year-olds and the 7 to 8-year-olds. You got those 9, 10, 11-year-olds. Hey, it's a great athletic activity that doesn't have an off season, right? If you're a baseball player, like I grew up, I was a baseball player, and I wish I found jiu-jitsu and judo and all these different things earlier than I did. But like off-season training is going to help keep you in shape. It's going to help keep you active because, especially in today's society, it's like, what's the first thing that a kid gets when they start crying? Right? They get like an iPad or they get a phone. It's like
It's terrible.
I have 8-year-olds in my class that are like, oh yeah, no, I just need to do something with my phone real quick. It's like, what do you mean? It's like, no, this is a water break. Put your phone down.
Yeah, right.
I shouldn't have to say that to an 8-year-old. I didn't get a smartphone or anything like that until I was, I was in my graduating class for my master's degree.
Yeah.
In 2013, like I didn't get a smartphone until I was in 2013. Right, and it was crazy. Right?
And there's so much science coming out right now about about how awful it is for kids.
Yeah. But it's like again, as you get older, jiu-jitsu has so many different benefits, right? It's you'll hear us call it involuntary yoga, right? It helps with your flexibility, whether you see it or not, like whether you're actually stretching or not, like
whether
you're
you want
stretched.
to be in that position or not, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
that involuntary yoga. It's you're getting flexibility. You're working out different muscles every single class, right? Just based on what you're going over. It's one of the best physical things that you can do. It's one of the best things you could do for your mental and emotional well-being. But it's like, why should kids get into it? That's all based on, again, the different age group.
Mm-hmm.
And I could break it down 1,000 different ways, and you could probably find somebody in here who will break it down 1,000 different ways. But again, that's like the best thing about jiu-jitsu is like everybody has their own reasons for doing it and why it's beneficial.
I know, I've got 4 kids, and 3 of them, my youngest has not got started anything yet. He's just about to be old enough to start. He'll go to jiu-jitsu, but my 3 older kids started in like Taekwondo, and then I moved them. I think it was like maybe they'd done that for like 2 or 3 years, and then I met Sam, and he was a client of mine. So I was like, well, I like to do business with people that are doing business with me. So I moved the kids into jiu-jitsu from karate, and I think from a parent standpoint, one of the things that I liked the most was it was a non-striking art. So like jiu-jitsu was going to show my kids how to defend themselves, how to handle themselves in a situation, and being able to diffuse a situation without ever having to strike someone. And I just thought that was so cool because, striking arts, like you're teaching kids how to break a nose and break an arm and kick someone and all things that can do damage.
Which in certain situations, 100%
might be necessary. Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if it is a very real self-defense situation, like you have to.
Mm-hmm.
You have to, right? If you got somebody, like especially again, we talk about like a realistic situation, sometimes people just, they don't understand that verbal de-escalation. There's no stopping them. You don't know what kind of day they had. You don't know if they're on something. Like that's when, guess what? It no longer becomes like a verbal discussion. It literally becomes their life versus yours.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes that's where you need that striking based art. Right. Because if you do jiu-jitsu and you don't know how to strike and you don't know how to block a punch, how are you going to close the distance, take somebody down if you don't know how to block a punch?
Yeah. But you learn how to manage the distance, though. That's Oh,
no, absolutely.
Vastly important. And it's just so crazy, man. Like, I mean, when I was growing up, like I'm a boy, right? Yeah. So guaranteed you're going to get in a fight. Yeah. At some point in time, it's going to happen. Yeah. Someone's going to punch you in your nose. You're going to punch someone in the nose. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
But these days, like, it's the fallout from that stuff. Like, it cannot happen anymore. So that was one of the reasons why I really like jiu-jitsu. And it's funny though, to that point. Like, so we've got. I'm sure you guys have. You got law enforcement.
Yeah.
Coming in.
Yeah.
And we've got quite a few guys that are in law enforcement. I don't want to out which agencies, but like I was, talking to them, they're like, yeah, man, like they want us doing jiu-jitsu over striking stuff because of the environment that law enforcement's in. Like, no more striking potential bad guys and girls out there, but it's just crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It was funny. I had one police officer specifically when he first started, obviously getting roughed up. Very new. Yeah. A little bit older. And about like 2-3 months in training, I'm leaving Planet Fitness, getting back in my car. All of a sudden, my phone starts buzzing. I check and see it's him. I'm just like, oh, okay, what's going on? Like, he's never called me before. And pick up the phone. Hey, what's up? He's like, you're never going to believe this. I used jiu-jitsu in the streets and it worked. And I was like, I mean, I don't know if I wouldn't say that I'd never believe it because I've been doing this for 13 and a half years. Right. And I teach it on a regular basis, so I hope I believe it.
Works, right?
I know it works, but he was just like, you're never going to believe this. I used jiu-jitsu to help arrest a person, and it was flawless, and I've only been doing it for 3 months. It was like, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things, right? Like, jiu-jitsu doesn't take, 13 years. How long have you been a black belt?
It's going to be coming up on 3 years, July 24th. I'm actually eligible for my first degree on July 24th.
Nice.
This year.
So 10 years from white to black, right? It's a journey. Whereas a lot of other martial arts, the timeline's like half that, right? Yeah. 3 to 5 years in Taekwondo.
Yeah.
So it takes a long time to get that far or progress that far, right? But usable so quickly, right?
Well, the great thing about jiu-jitsu is the fact that when we spar, it's not like strong impact. We're not eye gouging each other in live sparring. We're not punching each other in the nose in live sparring, right? We'll take an accidental bump with an elbow or a knee or different stuff like that. You know, we get into scrambles, it happens, but it's accidental, you reset, and it's not a huge impact, right? And that's the great thing about jiu-jitsu is because we do active live sparring at the end of every single class.
That's amazing.
Right? In some striking arts, you may not be able to do that. Like if you get punched in the face every single day in a sparring round, like that's just concussion after concussion. That's not good.
Yeah.
Right? Spar every so often with striking. That's fine, right? Especially with a good controlled training partner. But with jiu-jitsu, when you can go in, you could drill technique for an hour, hour and a half, and then take a half an hour to start applying the techniques that you just practiced. Right, you could literally learn a technique that day and apply it in a live situation later that same day.
That's one of my favorite things about it too.
Super, super cool.
You always get to spar.
Absolutely,
and you can spar anytime. Like, and you literally could just you and your buddy could spar anytime you want.
Yeah.
And you know you're gonna walk away from the mat. You're not gonna have a broken eye. I mean, unless something bad goes wrong.
Yeah, exactly,
but,
exactly. Like I said before, it's accidental. Like, we might bump heads.
Yeah.
Right. When I'm going for a technique, they might sit up at the same time and I might catch them with an elbow, but it's all purely accidental. You check on each other. Hey, you okay? Yeah, I'm good. And then you just reset and you go. Yeah. Right.
What kind of trends, like, as far as like men and women coming in, what do you see from a new student standpoint? Like who's walking in the door these days to try jiu-jitsu?
So it's crazy because I get a really awesome mix of people. So more recently, I've seen like 15, 16-year-olds like coming through the doors. High school athletes. But again, that was more recent times. I don't know if it's because summer's coming up and sports seasons are ending. And but like there was at one point, and it's like I don't know where these kids came from. Like I don't know if it was like if you've ever seen the Lord of the Rings, the Ents, the trees, the big trees, we literally had like 5 guys join, and they were all like 6'4", 220 plus, but like shredded. And like it was like these guys, they'd open the door and they would like they duck underneath my door. It's like I'd like to try some jiu-jitsu. I was like, oh sweet, how old are you? They're like 20.
All right, 6'4", 220. Yeah,
great. And they were all like powerlifting at the Nautilus up in Glens Falls. So it's just like all the 30-plus-year-olds are looking at these young guys come in, just athletes, just yoked out of their minds.
Yeah,
which is great.
As a black belt, though, you got that Jedi shit going on where it's always like,
oh yeah, I mean, it's always fun. I always love a challenge. And it's always fun to have the younger people come in and kind of see like this person's like not doing a single thing, but somehow I'm getting thrown around, I'm getting flipped around, I'm putting way too much effort into this, and he's barely breathing hard, and it's just like that. That's like, again, it's once you get that technique down and you make everything effortless and you focus on the control of your breathing, it's just so cool how it's like, oh, you're 250 pounds and you're a D2 linebacker from this football team. Here, cool. Let me show you something. And
let me show you a balloon sweep.
Yeah, exactly. And you make them float. You make them float. It's amazing.
It is amazing.
And you're half their size and you're holding them down on top. And it's like, how is this possible? They're benching like...
Oh, yeah. They're trying to muscle their way through it.
Plus, and 10 seconds, 15 seconds, they're completely gassed. And it's just like, nope, you got to keep going.
Yeah.
Like if this were a fight, this would be a bad situation.
Yeah. Yeah. Freaking black belts. It's just funny, man. Like I'm a blue belt. Like I go to roll with like Scott Hole's one of our black belts that.
Oh yeah.
I know Scott. Yeah, Scott's great dude. And if you've ever rolled with him, he's super technical. He's super smooth, and like there's no like he's not he's not running his way through it, so to speak. You know what I mean? Exactly. Like, and so every time I do something, I'm like, oh, he wanted me to do that, and then I'm on my, you know what I mean? I'm just like black belts. They got that weird.
It's literally like putting a mouse into a maze, and it's like, hey, you have one path, and you have seven things to choose from, and all of a sudden you go down one of the paths. It's like, all right, you got 5 things to choose from.
Oh my god!
And then you go back down, and then it's 3, and then it's 2, and then it's like, you got one choice.
Yeah,
and it's the choice that I made
all
along.
Right. Yeah, and you're right. Where every time I roll with them, I'm just like, oh my god! I can't even say roll with them because it's not like we'll be doing some sort of drill where I end up. And doing basically, I'm doing exactly what he wants me to do, and
of course,
he's doing it effortlessly, and I got sweat pouring off me, and it's funny.
Yeah, he's got a big old smile on him.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. But he's crazy though, man, because he's so. Like I say to my daughter all the time, like slow, smooth, and smooth is fast. Mm-hmm. And Scott is so smooth, like where I can see what he's doing, and he's not moving quickly. He's just moving so smoothly, and I see what he's doing, and I think I know what he's going to be doing, and I still can't stop him. It's amazing.
It's moving with a purpose.
Yeah,
not moving for the sake of moving.
Yeah,
that's one big thing that I talk to my students a lot about. It's like you're moving, you're using a lot of energy, and I get why you're moving. You want to kind of like off balance, and you want to throw off the rhythm and but it's like, but you're just moving for the sake of moving. You still have to move with purpose. You still got to move.
Yep.
But like, put something behind it. Like, put a reason behind it. Like, why are you moving?
Yeah, it's really cool. So what? So you said you got some ents, some tree ents coming in the studio.
Oh yeah.
What about like? Do you guys have a solid like female population that's coming in, or do you?
We do.
You know?
We do. We have a few women that are definitely more consistent than some others. But we have a solid group.
Yeah.
We have a really solid group. A few of them compete on a semi-regular basis. We have one of them competing in Grappling Industries.
Nice.
But then others come in and they just give it a shot. Like we have this one woman. Her name is Danielle. She's, I believe, either 51 or 52 years old. Excuse my language. This might be the first time that I ever my wife's parents ever hear me swear. She's a badass. She's a badass.
She's a badass.
She's a badass. She is. Like she has so many things wrong with her body just from like her job and moving around and obviously getting a little bit older. But she's in 4 days a week.
Nice.
She does our kickboxing class. She does our strength and conditioning class. She does jiu-jitsu class, gi and no gi.
Nice.
And she recently did take some time off. She has some stuff wrong with her ankle, but like, man, like I want to be her. I want to be her when I grow up.
Yeah, man.
Like that kind of person. But it's like they're all just such great human beings, and they just mesh with all the guys so well. Because I know how I can't say I know. I can't say I know, but like I understand how intimidating it can be just from like, you know, talking to some of my female students and then obviously talking to female teammates, you know, going into a mostly, you know, male dominated
well, that's what I wanted to ask,
martial art, you know, it can be very intimidating. But again, you know, I mean, martial arts academies, they're full of great people.
Yeah.
They're full of great people. 90% of the time they're full of great people, and, you know, walking through the door is going to be the scariest thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. Someone was asking me about jiu-jitsu locally and, you know, which place should you go to? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, from what I know from the people in the different shops around the area, like they're all good people. Like I don't know many people that are like really high up in the whether it's jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai or whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm like, but it's I don't know that there's a lot of bad people because it just teaches you how to be a good human, I think.
Yeah,
as
exactly.
You progress through it. But that's cool. What so you said Grappling Industry, Naga and Grappling Industries are coming up, right?
Yep, Grappling Industries on the 25th and Naga on June 1st.
Yeah, so it's like 1 week and then the other. Barkley, who connected us, he was telling me, I think he said he's going to compete.
Dude, he's awesome.
Dude, he's
awesome.
He's a white belt right now, right?
He is a white belt, yes.
But he's been doing it for a couple of years.
So he's been
off and on.
He's been off and on, definitely. I mean,
well, dude, I was like an 8-year
I
white
don't know
belt.
how the guy does it, man. His work hours are crazy. Like my wife and I, we agreed that we're not going to have kids. We got 4 cats, love them to death. We agreed that we're not going to have kids, but like. Honestly, like in the back of my mind, I haven't said it to my wife yet, but like if we could be parents, like I would want to be parents like Sean and his wife are. Like they're
Is she doing jiu-jitsu?
She comes in every so often for like the cardio kickboxing classes, and every so often she'll do a strength and conditioning class.
Because I feel like
she did jiu-jitsu, I think, back at the Dome.
At the Dome, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure that I saw her there a couple times back in the day. Yeah. I was wondering if she was still doing it.
We're trying to get her back on, but like again, you know, you got a dad who's starting to come back in on a pretty regular basis.
He's a big dude too, man.
Oh yeah.
Like he's got to be 6.
He's probably 6'2", 6'2", 6'3". Right now he's hovering between like 220, 215.
Yeah, dude. Oh my God.
Yeah, no, he's not a small guy.
Have that guy giving you knee on belly.
Guy. Oh yeah. That feels great.
Yeah, he's a good dude too. I always like Sean a lot.
Oh dude. He's awesome. Yeah. He's an awesome human being. And again, like his entire family is just full of awesome people.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you guys have in store coming down the road? So, you know, obviously tournaments, and I think you guys always, you know, I watch scoreboards. You guys always do well in tournaments. Always at the top of the board, sometimes at the top of the board.
Right.
When you're going into I mean, like, do you go into those tournaments like looking like, all right, man, we need to kick some ass and score some points? And
I mean, that's always the end game. But like,
does it have an effect on your business if you
like it depends. It depends because it's like there are some people like Justin.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who are so gung ho about competition that it's just like that competition is their lifestyle. Like they will literally change their entire life. They will get a different job and they will do all these different things literally so they can train enough so that they can compete.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then you'll have some people who are just kind of like, I kind of want to give it a shot. And both are fine.
Yeah.
Both are fine, right? Because it's whatever fits that person's lifestyle. Like some people don't want to be competitors. They just want to do it. They just want to have fun. Great. But you better believe that we're going to prepare both of those mindsets the same exact way. Like I'm not going to take a lifelong competitor and train them differently to somebody who's just wants to do it for fun. Yeah. It's like, no, if we're going to get prepared for a competition, we're going to do this properly. We're going to do this right. If you want to continue this lifestyle afterwards, we can obviously talk more. If not, no hard feelings. I'll see you back on the mats. Nice. And you got to look at it that way. But like, I mean, obviously the whole point of competition is you want to go in and win.
Yeah.
Right. But like, I'm not going to look at my students and be like, if you lose, just remember how disappointed I am in you.
You're dead to me. Don't come back to class.
Yeah. That's the last thing I want my students to think.
Not that kind of
like,
place.
Hey, remember how I said that we were just going to have fun this weekend? I lied.
Right.
If you lose, don't bother showing up.
Yeah. So from a growth standpoint, I know you got a solid business now. You got a good number of people coming in the doors. You know, how do you look to just continue that growth? Do you open up another location?
Always.
Like what happens in the future?
I mean, growing where we are now is great.
Mm-hmm.
Growing where we are now is great. Just like any other business, you know, there's always ups, there's always downs. You know, I'll get 3-4 people in, and then all of a sudden 2 people will quit. So it's like, hey, we got 4 people in, but it's technically like +2,
right? As
far as that goes, and you know, it's just how business is. Right now, the big thing is like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, we have the idea of looking for different locations to kind of open up our spot, maybe change up the look, change up the location, anything like that. But as far as opening up like a new location, like in addition to that, we'd want to grow a little bit more just to make sure that it's like, hey, I'm going to be in between these 2 different academies, teaching and stuff like that. Because the last thing I'd want to do is not have a good amount of people in Glens Falls and just be like, you know what, let's just open up this next spot. Like, no, we want to make sure that we're secure. I want to make sure that we got enough students at high enough levels where it's like, hey, I'm going to be in this new location XYZ days. And like, I need coverage for these classes on ABC days, you know, different stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you know, that's kind of where we're at right now as far as the business goes.
I have to think that because like right now, Glens Falls Jiu-Jitsu is it's UNC Core, right?
I believe so.
I don't think there's anybody else.
I was going to say, I don't think they're at the Dome anymore.
No, they're definitely not.
No,
they're definitely not.
Yeah.
And I don't think like Lake George, Warrensburg, like that, like when you guys hit exit 16, you're basically the only, or 17, you're the only ones that are in that market. I have to assume that there are people there that, you know, that need to get I I mean, I'm on Team Jocko as far as I think everyone should do jiu-jitsu.
I believe everybody should at least try it.
Yeah.
Right.
Kids.
Oh yeah. I
old
agree.
people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know,
jiu-jitsu can be for everybody.
well,
It 100% can.
for so many reasons. I was listening, I forget what the guy's name is, podcast. But they were talking about like how jiu-jitsu helps with your cortisol levels and how that affects your belly fat. So like if you're a guy, like, so guys, right, we have a tough time. We hold on to belly fat.
Yeah.
So they're saying like, and there's like real science behind this, that that jiu-jitsu helps, I think helps to like release that cortisol, which is what you end up holding on to, which is why you retain belly fat. So like if you have trouble, like if you're a dude that's in shape but can't get rid of that spare tire, like jiu-jitsu will burn that thing off.
Oh, dude,
it's crazy.
Dude, like I said earlier, it's like every single day you go in, it's a different kind of workout.
Yeah.
You're working out different kinds of muscles. You're working out everything mentally, emotionally. Like, it's crazy the benefits that you can get literally just from, I mean, even just drilling.
Yeah.
Just drilling. And the big thing is the community in your academy, too. Like, you see your favorite training partner. Come on now.
Yeah, right.
Come on, that makes class. I mean, you're already doing class, so you're already happy that you're at class, but then you get to drill with your favorite training partner. Yeah. That just brings it to a whole new level. So your stress is just melting off. You're burning calories like crazy. You're having a great time. You're laughing. You're simulating murder with your best friend. And it's like it doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, that's true.
It doesn't get much better than that.
That's true. What, so I know that we gotta get you out of here on time to get to class, because you got a kids class coming up.
Yeah, I got class at 4:15.
Nice.
4:15.
So if you're talking to someone that's considering jiu-jitsu, right? I have to believe there's tons of people out there that are like, they've heard it, they've seen it, they're like, oh, I'd really love to get it to try, but they're just not getting in there. Like, what would you tell those people?
Like how would I describe jiu-jitsu to
them?
If
you were going to tell them one thing, why they should get in the door, like what do you think it would be?
I mean, I guess that would all be based off the conversation that we're having. Yeah. Like, because you got to understand, like, some people's lifestyles are very, very different than others. And it's like, hey, you should do jiu-jitsu. Like, I could say this to everybody. Jiu-jitsu is going to get you in the best shape of your life if you dedicate yourself to it. Sure. Right? Because you'll have somebody who comes in, like, once a week or, like, once every 2 weeks. And, they're not going to do it. They're not going to be able to retain the information. They're not going to be able to get in that kind of shape. And
how often should they come in?
In my opinion, a healthy amount when you first start is minimum 2 classes a week. Okay. Right? I mean, that seems pretty doable. Just to kind of get used to it. Absolutely. And that's like the thing that I notice about like the, I don't want to say the average student because that sounds so demeaning. But like, again, like I can't even say casual student. That sounds very demeaning because it's like there are people who literally sit on the couches their entire life and don't do anything like that. So,
well, it's like that. Like I think I was talking to someone about it, where it's like you've got the folks that want to compete and want to be serious about it, and then you've got like the hobbyist that wants to do jiu-jitsu. Right. And I don't think that's a bad term, right? Like they don't necessarily want to compete. They don't want they don't want to go to tournaments and do all that stuff, but they still want to learn the sport. They still want to show up a few days a week.
Like I think it was so weird. I literally had a discussion with one of my students about like the proper terminology for it last week because like a hobbyist sounds like it's like, oh, you're doing this. It's a nice little hobby. Right. It's a nice hobby that you're doing. But let's focus on real life. I was like, I think we went with like practitioner. Practitioner. Okay. So it was like the normal practitioner. Like I'd say an average is like 2 to 3 classes per week. You're getting in. You're getting social interaction, which is great for your mental and emotional well-being. Yeah. And then you're getting a different kind of exercise, right? Obviously, you should be doing some form of cardiovascular or resistance training outside of the academy to mix it up because it's just going to be better for your all-around health and well-being. But again, for those competitive practitioners, for the competition athletes, right, you should be in minimum, like bare minimum, 4 days a week. Yeah. Bare minimum.
Got to get that gold, baby.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
What about if someone's looking to learn more about you guys, they want to, check it out, learn more, find out about whatever it is. Like, how do they find you guys?
So we have a website, www.atlasjiujitsu.com. It's got a list of all of our academies. We have obviously our big flagship one in Albany. We have Glens Falls. We have Valatia, which is about 35-40 minutes southeast of Albany, And then we actually just opened one up in Waltham, Massachusetts with Professor Aiden Saracolo, who was number 4 in the world in his weight class at the brown belt level. And he's just doing a phenomenal job with that. But you can take a look at all the schedules right online. We have a very easy way to set up. You literally just click on the website and whatever location is most convenient for you, you can take a look at the schedule. There's a button right on that same page that says set up your free class. And we love having people come in. The biggest thing is we don't want people signing up, before they try a class. We want to make sure that they're enjoying the program, because the last thing you want to do is have somebody sign up and then be like, oh, I hate this. This is not for me. We want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable and they recognize like, oh, this isn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. Because when most people think about jiu-jitsu now, they think like, oh, the UFC, right? Like, oh, I don't want to walk through the door and get punched in the face. No. You don't have to worry about that. Like that's jiu-jitsu. We do have kickboxing and MMA and these different classes, stuff like that. But jiu-jitsu, you don't have to worry about that. Even if you want to come in and watch your first class, we'll get you set up for another trial class after that, so you could actually get on the mats and give it a shot. Cool. Absolutely.
And social media, did you say?
Social media, oh man, we got a lot. Instagram, we're all over the place. Atlas Jiu Jitsu.
Okay.
Atlas Jiu Jitsu Waltham. Atlas_Glens Falls. My personal one. Atlas_Jiu Jitsu. Because again,
Jiu Jitsu.
I know, right?
Josferatu.
Wordplay. Tons. Love it.
Yeah, it's got to be fun.
And then obviously on Facebook, we have my professor, Edward Anthony. He just came out with a new page, and he's putting out a lot of awesome content.
I love jiu-jitsu reels. I'm like hooked at jiu-jitsu reels. I actually just saw him choking you out or something. I think
it never happened. Fake news.
Fake news.
Fake news. Never happened. Never happened.
It's amazing.
It happened all the time. But I also have a page, Josferatu Zakriski. Yeah, we're all over social media.
Awesome.
We're all over social media.
Joe, I appreciate you coming down and talking to us, man.
Hey, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Anytime. I'll have to get you back on. I'll have to get Justin down here, too. I'd love to hear more about his rolling for resilience stuff and what he's doing.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
I haven't touched base with him since we did that initial interview. So he's got a great story. Great dude.
He really does. It's really inspiring to see to see what he's gone through in his life and to see where he is now.
Yeah. And, what a testament to jiu-jitsu and what it can do for you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And just a testament to him in general.
Yeah.
Like, it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
He and I, obviously, we see each other at the academy almost every single day, but, before class, we're always talking. After class, we're always talking. It's mind-boggling to like see where he's come from.
Yeah.
Like not just like physically, but mentally and emotionally, and his life story and how he took not necessarily so great situation and literally made the best out of it. Mm-hmm. And when I say the best, I mean like he made the best out of it. Like what he's doing now and how he is where he is now compared to how he grew up and what was going on when he was younger in life. Like it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's absolutely incredible.
It really is. He's got quite the story.
Absolutely.
For sure. Thanks again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And, if you're listening, check out Atlas Jiu Jitsu, Albany, Glens Falls, Valatia. I don't even know where that Valatia is. I'm going to have to look on a map here shortly. Valatia. It's great
Waltham.
stuff. And where?
Waltham, Mass.
Waltham, Mass.
Waltham, Mass. Professor Aiden Saracolo.
It's awesome.
Most handsome man you'll ever see.
Well, not everybody's going to check it out.
You laugh. I'm telling you right now.
It's like underwear model stuff. Is there? Or some sort of model. Athletic gear,
suits.
Nice.
Hair.
Hilarious.
Is like handsome Squidward, but more handsome.
It's awesome. Thanks again, Joe. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
You got it. Thanks for listening, everybody. You can find us on Saratoga Business Report and Glens Falls Today Business Report. Everywhere you get podcasts, YouTube, Rumble, if you're into those free speech platforms. And until next time.
The Eden Center is a private psychiatry practice that focuses on the root cause of mental health conditions. We believe in brain-based treatment that incorporates the tenets of good mental health: nutrition, sleep, mindfulness, exercise, and social interactions. Whether you need help with mental health, addiction and recovery, or general wellness, the Eden Care Center can help shape you into your best you.
The superpower that every citizen has is the ability to control where they spend their time, money, and attention. By focusing these on supporting local businesses, you are having a profound impact on your friends, your family, and your local community. So if you want to change the world, you can start with buying local.